The K20A is sure to play a major role in the progression of Honda's sports engines and tuning. In this segment, we explore to discover the fastest K20A packaging. K20A Tsukuba Time Attack. Unexpectedly, the fastest K20A ends up to be in a Toyota chassis.
What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a treat behind me. This is a Honda swapped MR2 Spyder. The motor is from a Honda Integra DC5 Type R from Japan, paired with a 6-speed LSD Type R transmission. This car is a real blast to drive. Let's get into the details and then we'll take it out onto a back road. Alright guys, so out back here we have the K20A from the Honda Integra Type R. As you guys can see, the things to make it work, we've got custom header, custom transmission mount, custom engine mount, just like the 2ZZ. The 2ZZ shares the mounts over on the transmission side, but this one needs all custom mounts. They go to the factory mounting locations. Here out back, we have a PPE header to a full PPE exhaust, which is a Magnaflow muffler. And then we have the intake that's needed to fit into the car, and then a wiring harness that goes to a Honda ECU. And then here, down here, you won't be able to see it really, but this car is actually equipped with air conditioning, fully functioning, just like a normal car. So it uses also the factory coolant hoses, which you can't see because they're on the firewall side. But overall, it's a very clean swap, as you guys can see. No wiring issues or anything like that. It's all tucked away nicely. This is a 6-speed LSD from a Honda Integra Type R. Here you can see the shifter linkages, which connect to the factory Toyota shifter up front. And yeah, overall, it's like the same layout as the 1ZZ and 2ZZ, and it's actually really easy to work on. You change the drive belt in under 20 minutes, the accessory belt, and this car again has fully functioning AC, fully functioning OBD too, so it will pass emissions in my area. All right, so jumping down to the footwork of the car, this car is equipped with 15x7 wheels. These are work wheels wrapped in Bridgestone Potenza RE71Rs. These tires are ideal for Touge because they don't need to heat up like other 200 treadwear tires. This is ready to go right off the bat. These are the ideal tires for Touge. If you guys didn't know, these tires were used in a lot of record-setting runs on hot version, including the Feed FD3S and the J's S2000. So as far as brakes and suspension, this car is on stance coilovers with Swift springs. The spring rates are 7K, 9K rear, and then it has full white line sway bars front and rear. The rear setting to the highest stiffness and the front also to the highest stiffness. For brakes, we have stock calipers with slotted and drilled rotors, which I'm not a fan of. And then it has stainless lines, RBF 600, and also has Hawk street pads. I'm not a fan of these pads. I prefer the EBCs in my MRS, but we'll get a feel for that when we're driving. All right, guys, so that's all for the surface details of this car. Now let's go take it out on the road and see how the car comes together as a total package. We're also gonna take it on some back roads and see how it handles. So we're just setting off here, just pulling out of a parking lot. First thing you'll notice in this K-swap is the gearbox is so much smoother. The worst part about the whole shifting mechanism is the Toyota shifter itself. It still has that weird throw, or it's like an economy car throw. So far the car just feels like a normal car, very well put together, no rattles or bangs. It's a little bouncy because of the spring rate, but as far as the drivetrain, like the motor, just like a normal car. In fact, it's better than the 2ZZ and the 1ZZ because of the usable torque band. And that's of course being from bigger displacement. So here we're just gonna get on the freeway and I'll give it the bean so you guys can see what it sounds like. It's the second gear. Third gear. Woo! All right. Sorry. Yeah, this is way faster than the 2ZZ. Jesus. I don't know if you guys can see the pickup, the immediacy of the throttle, and it just keeps pulling. When you're in the 2ZZ, it'll pick up, but you have to be revving it high, but this thing throws you back right from the second gear roll. All right guys, so we haven't taken it to a windy road yet, but right off the bat, this motor is way more exciting than the 2ZZ. It is a lot faster. I know this will probably piss off a lot of people, but again, this is coming from someone that's races a 2ZZ, and you guys know what I do with the 2ZZ MR2. The biggest difference is the immediacy and the response. The torque is a huge difference. So, and the way the power comes on. So if you look at it on paper, and a lot of people will argue online, is they say, why am I going to spend so much more for, they'll say 10 more horsepower. Well, actually, this thing dynoed 220 to the wheels, and then the 2ZZ did 179. So no, it's not close. And this is just a stock motor, stock Type R motor. Again, this is not an RSX Type S. If you guys know, K20 is very popular to swap into older Hondas, and those older Hondas will pull on a lot of cars. You'll see them on YouTube. They'll beat 350Zs or STIs, no problem. This car can do that too, from personal experience. And those gutted, or those EGs and EKs that they swapped this motor into, right? They're heavier than this car. So you guys could imagine that those cars are heavier, and this car also has the motor in the back. So you'll see a lot of those Honda races, especially when you do like the drags or pulls off the line, they'll do like a first gear, second gear burnout. And then I've seen guys online will take pride into like chirping into fourth and all that. But this car won't do that because there's so much weight on the rear. So it's just immediate grip. We'll do some rolls from first gear. I'll show you guys. The car won't lose traction as it does in cars of the same weight with a different driveline layout. So again, like I said, this is with cold tires, first gear, right? So most front wheels will do a burnout. So first gear. Yeah, this car's nuts. As you guys can see, we didn't lose any traction there, and going through the corners, car's completely balanced. When I went to Techno Pro Spirit, they were talking about the difference in balance with the K series motor, and that it's a little heavier in the back. Now, I don't know the actual weights yet. I'll probably take it to a corner balance or a truck scale in the future to get the differences, but as far as balance through the corners, there's pretty much no difference. The only difference is this thing doesn't have the clutch type LSD like my 2ZZ one does. So we're just gonna go back this way through the corner. Yeah, this is something else. Car's completely composed, no drama through the corners. Again, we're not pushing it that hard. As far as I can tell from my experience driving my MRS with the 1ZZ, the 2ZZ, this is a lot better. And I understand that it is a lot more expensive, and you just send it off to do the MWR swap, and the parts can be a lot more expensive, and that's true. And the 2ZZ is a lot more affordable, but if anyone's saying the 2ZZ and K20 are anywhere close together, that is very wrong, and that's coming from someone with a 2ZZ with a LSD, 6-speed, Moroso oil pan, PFC tune. This is a lot faster, and that's coming from someone with a 2ZZ. So I guess we'll go here on a back road. We'll put it through its paces a little more. Really balanced, no real difference. is short shifting it. We're not even redlining this. You guys can hear that gear ratio from 3rd to 4th. Very usable power band. VTEC comes on at, I think, just under 5,000 RPM. Yeah, and then below VTEC, as far as a power band, it feels like a stronger 1ZZ. Like, I guess it feels like a 2-liter. How I would say it is, like, even if this didn't have VTEC and I was short shifting it under 5,000 RPM and just using full throttle under 5,000, I'm pretty sure I would be able to beat a 1ZZ. Like, the bigger displacement is so noticeable, even though it's only 200 cc's. I couldn't imagine what a K24 feels like because the jump is even bigger. But the torque is so much better than the 1ZZ and 2ZZ series. And this motor also has variable valve timing and variable lift duration, so it's all active like the VVTi system. So the motor is always constantly adjusting and the torque band is very full, even from a low RPM, especially in a car this lightweight. So that's what I'll say about the power band. It's thick, especially compared to the 2ZZ. The 2ZZ, if you are below lift, it's not really doing much, and sometimes there's a dip, especially stock. This car pulls like the whole way. There's no dip, there's no bog and then up, it's just straight like this. 2ZZ would be like this and then you feel a kick. This one is just constant, smooth transition into VTEC, and that's something I really like about this power plant so far. As far as the suspension setup on this car, I would say it's a little bit too bouncy for street. The one on my MRS is softer. The brakes by far are one of the worst parts besides no clutch type LSD. I'm really not a fan of these Hawk pads. From a feel perspective, having this motor in the back feels exactly the same. There's nothing throwing it off balance. I think if anyone's trying to argue that the 2ZZ and K20 or like the 2ZZ has better balance, I don't think that's the case. And that's my opinion from driving both of them. It doesn't feel any different. It just feels like an MR2 with a lot more power. Now, if there is an imbalance, I would say that this car is a fast car. If you're just a normal Joe Schmo jumping in this thing and you're gonna try to take it to its limits, you're probably gonna have a bad time. And that's not because it's hard to drive from like a driver's perspective. It's just that pushing this car like to its very limit would be very fast and a little bit more difficult to handle than the 2ZZ or 1ZZ. Everyone's like, you know, nothing more fun than driving a slow car fast, but driving a fast car fast is a lot more fun, in my opinion. It's a lot more exhilarating than your standard MR2, I'll say that for sure. And you know what? You don't lose any of that handling. You don't lose that underpowered slow car fast thing either. A lot of the fun in that is that people say you can floor it. Yeah, I'm still flooring it in this thing and it's hooking up perfectly fine. The thing with the 1ZZ, 2ZZ stuff is it's still slightly underpowered, but this one I think is right at that grip limit, especially at a 205 level of tire grip. Now again, this car is running RE71R, so maybe the stock tires, this is going to be a little bit hard to control, but if you have a proper tire setup, this thing is perfectly fine, really balanced car. Alright guys, so that wraps up my review of the K20 swapped MRS. In summary, this is a lot faster than the 2ZZ. And not only that, it's more streetable too. Like driving normally, we have so much more usable torque down low. Like we're cruising in 5th gear up a hill, no problem. Under 2,000 RPM, not an issue. There's absolutely no drawback to the K20 besides price. The balance is still there. And this is with 205 tires, the same setup as my blue one, and this is with a less aggressive alignment, less aggressive differential, and I'm pretty sure I could beat my MRS with this one. Honestly, it's always been that way. Like a K20A Type R motor is going to beat a 2ZZ. It's bigger displacement and it's just known to be a better motor. Like if you race the DC5R versus a Celica, even though the Celica is lighter, the DC5R is gonna smoke it. And being in the same chassis, both light, it just has more power, more torque, and better delivery, better gearbox. And that's the way it is, and it just costs more. Online, it's really easy to argue what side you have because it's what you own and it's what you want to win. But coming from someone that, heck, I'm even the 2ZZ owner, this is way faster, by far, and way better delivery. The only drawback I could think of is the cost. And Drivability, not a problem. AC, have it, not a problem. So if you guys have the money, I would go for a K series if you're gonna go with a stock body car. I know that there's a Touge R option, which is the V6, and they use it in JGTC. That car had a full wide body and a lot more tires and suspension provisions to put that power down. If you're gonna have a stock body, I don't think there's much more you would want as far as power, especially with a car that goes through corners with a stock 205 setup with a stock body. So I don't know if it gets much better than this besides maybe a K20A. But as far as a streetable car that is pretty much a monster, opening it up on a back road, but very tame and with air conditioning, I don't think it gets much better than this. That's my verdict on the K-swapped MR2. I'm going to be taking this to autocross, so you guys will be able to look forward to that. But anyways, that's my review of the K-swapped MR2, and I'll see you guys in the next one.